to the forefront of innovation.
Good morning and welcome to the very first edition of An Eye for AI. What the show is all about is we're actually going to keep an eye on AI for you. AI is such a hot topic. It's exciting, it's controversial, it's ever changing. If you think you're caught up today, in about an hour, or maybe even sooner, you're going to be behind already. We're going to have all different types of experts on this show, from academia to very practical applications in business. So without further ado, I wanted to introduce our first guest, Felipe Isaza, who is the founder and CEO of Function. Felipe, thanks for being here.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So AI is, I wanted to talk first about Function and what Function is all about.
Sure.
And then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Felipe at Function. I founded the business in 2011. We are an IT, cyber, and AI company focused on modernizing small and medium-sized businesses nationwide. We have a presence in South America as well. We're constantly bridging the gap between tech and business strategy for companies. We don't chase the AI hype. Like, we pretty much implement what we preach. We have customers that have to adhere to compliance, such as HIPAA, PCI, CMMC for Department of Defense contractors, FTC. So we're very cognizant of the tools we implement and that we use. So we're constantly performing cyber assessments and what we call AI readiness assessments. Basically, it gives us, it helps us identify the risk, the cyber posture, and frankly, how the organization is using AI. And most of the time, interesting enough, the business owners don't know how their staff is using AI. Which is a big risk. So anyone uploading information to ChatGPT, etc., that could be compromising. So we'll implement certain cyber guardrails, different AI guardrails, and create policies around it so that the business and the business owners stay protected. And the last thing we want is for these business owners to get breached or there be a compromise.
You started as an IT and a cybersecurity company. When did you pivot into, and pivot may be the wrong word because you're still very much involved in IT and cybersecurity.
Yes.
But when did you enter the AI world as a business? And you're an AI consultancy, correct?
Yes, we are. So as we started off as basic IT support, back in 2011. As we saw the threats rise, obviously the least path resistance is evolving with those times, and we're having to secure the businesses more and more. And then now, obviously, with AI, the threats are even more. The landscape is constantly changing for us, so we have to evolve with the times and in efforts to constantly protect the businesses.
You talked about AI being used inside companies and how that's a threat. But how about bad actors? Are they using AI for ransomware and things like that?
Yeah. Oh my God. The AI landscape is that much more increasing every day. Threat actors, they no longer have to try to convince you, or phishing campaigns or phishing attacks still happen, but at these days it's just a matter of clicking a button or generate, or a recent hack with Claude. These threat actors from China were leveraging Claude to breach certain companies via the AI platform. So, as AI increases, people don't realize that whatever they implement could be a risk to their businesses.
For people who don't know, Claude is a large language model similar to ChatGPT.
Yes.
It's Anthropic is the company that owns it. You said something that was very interesting to me, and you said we don't chase the AI hype. What does that mean?
So I think a lot of companies, there's a lot of opportunity where freelancers are evolving into this space and just like launching, leveraging a platform to launch basic AI voice, for example, or a chat bot, for example, for their website. And it's very convenient for small businesses such as dentists, where they can capture appointments. So basically appointment setting. So that's all over right now. But what we normally do, how we approach it is, we have an AI voice that takes on our after hours calls. If customers call in, it'll digest the customer company name, the customer or the end user, the issue at hand that they're having or experiencing, and it'll classify it as either emergency or standard ticket. For we use a ticketing system to communicate with our customers, and then if it is an emergency, it'll basically contact our on-call resource and we'll take care of that issue right away. But if it's a standard ticket, we basically open up a ticket and we schedule it for the following morning. So that's kind of like the use case, how we're using AI voice, but we take it one step further and create what's called MCP servers. I think it's Model Context Protocol or something like that. I don't recall what it is, but basically it's a component that sits between the AI and the line of business application, in this case QuickBooks or the ticketing system that we use, for example. So the way I leverage that as a business owner is I can prompt it, like if I'm talking or speaking with somebody, hey, analyze the last 90 days. Where are we spending the most amount of time on company ABC, or how can I put, now I can make better business decisions on, hey, look, we're spending so much time on this customer. Why is that happening? We can find root cause and make better decisions based off of that. That's just a use case. We also incorporated or integrated into our accounting platform. So now I can go to my AI and prompt it, hey, analyze the last 12 months, 24 months of my books. Which months were my biggest problem or not my most profitable? Again, I can make better decisions on that. What service is not being sold? What product is not doing my best? So now I can pivot. Business owners have the opportunity to pivot quicker versus waiting for another calling or a sign.
Really interesting. I think that people underestimate what AI can do. What other use cases have you applied to other businesses? In other words, what are businesses doing with AI today?
So I think, sticking around the compliance factor, we don't implement the typical tools that most, I guess, businesses that are not that don't have to adhere to compliance. So, for example, we for a current customer, we're launching Copilot Studio. So that's more for information for their analysts. So how to better digest and input information for their customers or patients. They follow a framework, a template that helps them input that data into their platform. So that's just
a template generated by Copilot.
By Copilot, correct. It helps them identify or helps them keep the structure on when they're inputting their notes. So now when you're prompting,
so now you've got a process.
So now you have a process. One, you're inputting the right data, so when there is an audit, they can address that accordingly.
Okay, and Copilot is a Microsoft product?
Yeah, so all our customers are Microsoft. They're in the Microsoft ecosystem.
Okay.
So it helps digest that data. So without data, there is no AI.
Right.
So having that data within the platform, that's where the opportunity lies for AI. Now the business owner can have all that information at their disposal.
You mentioned chatbots. You mentioned voice. Something that's gaining popularity are AI agents. What are AI agents all about?
So they're worker bees. Basically,
Okay.
simulates somebody's role or a part of the role. Anyone that's doing a manual process where they can automate that process and be more efficient and execute on that process much more quicker than a human could. Basically.
What is a real world example of, you mentioned one with your accounting, right? With your books.
Yeah.
What are some other examples of where an AI agent can outperform a human perhaps?
Yeah. So on a most recent phone call I had with a prospect, he would basically have issues where his main person or manager was delayed on tasks, and for any business, billing is a big component, right? To continue operations, cash flow, etc. So billing accounts receivables was an issue for him, and it was all due to this one person. The process was stuck on this person. So instead of all the million and one excuses this person would give the owner, I couldn't get to it, customers walking in, etc. It's a simple process where you create an agent where can fulfill that gap. So stemming from when he's performing the job, how that person checks out, and creating that recurring visit for them. So all that can be automated, and just looking at it from high level, that process can be fully automated with AI. Therefore, getting that human component out of the loop. Now the business owner can operate and be more efficient in the accounting department. That's just one area that they can optimize.
For that use case in particular, what AI tools would need to be used? Is it just a co-pilot thing, or?
It's a plethora, but in this particular case, any automation tools like N8N is one. Right. But Copilot Studio has a very similar one to N8N, which is obviously falls under compliance. Yep. So it just depends on the type of business if they have to adhere to or required to meet compliance. So that's where the AI readiness assessment for us is so critical for us to better understand what line of business applications the business runs, where they fall in that compliance spectrum, if any. If there's no compliance, then you can implement tools that basically any tool, but with cyber in mind. Obviously, that is our core focus. Any AI tool we implement, any AI solution, automation, we're always implementing with that cyber baseline.
Okay. So to do a particular task, we'll stick with this billing task. What does the AI tool or tools have to know? They have to have some kind of knowledge base to start with. What does that process look like to get that?
To train it.
And eventually, I assume it starts to train itself, correct?
So that's what the power of using and sticking to the Microsoft ecosystem. So it already has all the data, right? Any Word documents, Excel, the SharePoint that you use. SharePoint's basically a cloud file server.
Right.
Now Copilot has access to all that already, right? What business you own, what industry you're in, hours of operation, the services that you do and don't do. So all that becomes clear to the AI agent. what the business entails, and that's a great starting point for the business. Outside of that, you'd have to implement a tool, train it, upload different forms of knowledge bases, like you said, right? A website, which could grab, from the simplest hours of operation and maybe services if it's listed.
Mm-hmm.
But that has to be updated, right? Like you can't have obsolete data on the website.
Right.
So it's a fine line where that data comes from. And same thing with Microsoft ecosystem, right? So if you have old knowledge in there, old data, then it'll start grabbing the information from there. But the good thing is that that's internal, right? That's not exposed to the public or for external use.
You spoke about AI readiness in businesses. What types of things do you look at? And I'm going to ask you a question after that, but go ahead and talk to me about that one.
So, obviously, you would think most businesses leverage tools. If not, they're back to the days where they're pen and paper. Yeah. So, and these tools, depending on the maturity of the tool, have what's called API access.
Right.
So if they do have API access, that's already a great baseline to start.
Explain integrating. What an API is so people understand.
It basically helps integrate whatever tool or automations with that line of business application, whether it's QuickBooks or whatever it is. Now you can start tapping into that application, either pulling data or syncing data with other tools for alignment, for information purposes, etc. So you have better leverage with the application. Okay. We have a customer that in the HIPAA space that has a tool that doesn't have API access.
Okay.
So, but
you can't get it.
And you can't get it.
Yeah, because some companies won't allow it.
And for good reason too, right?
Sure.
For cyber reasons, etc. However, the business owner is gung-ho on AI, like she wants to do everything with AI. However, she's limited to what she can do because the application just doesn't accept that. So then what does that look like for the business owner? Speak to the platform, depending again the maturity or how big they are. Hey, is this a request that a feature that we can request for down the line? Is this like in your roadmap, etc.? And if not, now you have to make a business decision. Do you switch platforms? And that's forklifting platforms can be a big issue or a huge task. Mm-hmm. So now business owners, when they're looking into tools, now they're more cognizant of what tool is the right tool. So, hey, instead of moving to just any other tool, now, hey, are you AI friendly, for example? Maybe some of these tools already provide some type of AI. And if it has API access. So now the business owner can go in more educated and have a better vision. If they have that vision, AI vision in mind, now they can make better decisions.
You spoke about the AI enthusiast client. Have you run into clients that just say, whoa, this is just way over my head. I'm a pen and paper type person. What have you run into?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're obviously a lot of times it's probably a monetary thing, right? They just don't want to spend, and they don't understand the value of AI, right? Using AI as a thought partner to begin with, that's foreign to them, right? Sure. Speaking to or prompting an AI for advice, for opportunities, etc. But they don't realize the opportunity business owners have these days to grow their businesses leveraging AI if used correctly. Right now, most of the time, business owners, from what I hear, through the AI readiness assessment we do, is basically I just use it for emails, which is good. There's nothing wrong with that, obviously, but that's to the extent of it.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much more opportunities to leverage AI, and they just don't have an AI consultant to guide them in that direction.
Yeah. That's really interesting because I can just see, small business owners tend to be very hands-on.
Yes.
And, they like their way of doing things. So I can imagine that for some anyway, it's not an easy sell.
It's not an easy sell, and again, I think a lot of times it comes around to, why spend this money on a tool where they have a human component already, staff doing this work, and they don't realize that they can automate some of that, and maybe not replace the role because, humans. I don't think. That AI will be replacing humans. I think humans using AI will replace the ones that don't.
Right.
And that's something that they, especially these older generations, they don't understand. And, some of these young generations that come into the workforce, they are leveraging that. And that's where it becomes kind of a risk factor for the business owner, right? They're coming in using AI and uploading massive amount of data, customer information, proprietary information, legal, and OpenAI I think already has some type of breach incident, but that's where it becomes an issue, right? That data getting leaked out, and if you're uploading medical history.
Yeah.
That's one common use people are using.
You better be
AI.
HIPAA compliant, right?
You're HIPAA compliant. So if you're going to be doing that, it's important to be aware of which version of ChatGPT you should be using, right? Teams, the ChatGPT Teams version doesn't train on that data. So any data you're uploading on any other free version, it trains on that data. So now what does that look like for your information and the rest of the public?
Yeah. You mentioned the generations, and this is interesting to me because if you compare this with cell phones and smartphones, I didn't see a cell phone, and it was one of those brick phones until I was an adult.
Yeah, I grew up with one of my dad. I mean, I didn't use it, but my
Right.
dad had that phone.
So, so that's now, every generation since the late 80s, 90s has grown up already with a cell phone, and then with a smartphone in the late 1990s and the
90s,
and the 2000s, and now we're going to have kids growing up with AI.
Oh yeah.
So that's very interesting, and what you said is this is such an exciting field, but it's not without its controversy. I think you touched on one of them. People are scared to death about AI replacing them.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about this whole controversy?
So one quick note on that is, my son uses ChatGPT. He's 9 years old, obviously in front of me, but sometimes he's chatting. So I guess their generation, they don't type. They just, everything is just voice.
Okay.
And I find him doing a lot of voice, even when he's composing emails at home. He's just talking, generating the email, which is pretty interesting. But to some extent, he was talking to the ChatGPT so much that, we kind of had to mention to him, hey, you realize this is like not a real person or a human. So he's like, no, Papi, I understand. Yeah. So it's interesting to see that.
So really that's insightful, because if you look at, your son would be considered Generation Alpha. If you look at the two generations before them, Z and right. Millennials, they're all about texting. They're all about, and now that you mentioned this, that's really interesting.
Yeah. It's interesting to see that, but we kind of just limit, obviously, he uses it in front of us just to make sure he's not getting creative, to say that.
Got it. Going back to small business for a minute, and this is something that you mentioned at the Profit Inc. meeting the other day, and congratulations for recently being elected president
thank you.
of Profit Inc.
Absolutely.
You said something about small business and ROI from AI. You mentioned a statistic that some percentage, and it seemed like a pretty large percentage, are really seeing returns from AI.
Yeah, so I think, and obviously that's the power of AI, capturing opportunities where it's not visible to the business owner. For example, my son is part of, he plays soccer and he's in a league, and I know the business owner. So, and a lot of times, often I hear the feedback, oh, do you know how we can get a hold of them, etc. Or when they're at practice, who's picking up the calls for them, right? Is that lost opportunity? What if they have like an AI voice agent as simple as ingesting that data, right? Hey, give me the name, parent name, kid's name, age, and number where we can call you back, right? So I think maximizing those opportunities is where the power of AI is. Dentists, how are they when they're out to lunch? I find it that they just have an automated system. Hey, we're out to lunch.
Right.
Why not convert that into a lead capture
or an appointment?
Right? An existing customer or a new customer, right?
Yeah.
So those are kind of like as little as that. Business owners are having significant gains and opportunities where they can maximize that.
Okay. So wrapping up, I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Uh-oh.
And it's going to be a difficult answer, I think, for you because of you use so many tools and are so versed. If you could have just one AI tool, what would it be?
That's difficult because it's, obviously I deal with a lot of compliance and stuff, but aside
for yourself,
aside from compliance, I think Claude.
Okay.
Just because the capabilities that it has, and the simple component of the MCP, like they make it so easy for you to integrate or implement MCP servers into your line of business applications. So that alone is a huge win. Recently, I started using it to create apps. Right, I've used Lovable before, which is another platform where people vibe code.
Create websites, create apps,
and it like you spend very little time, and you get a very perfect aesthetically produced website.
I just had a friend do that.
Yeah, so I mean I've been doing that for a while already, but Claude, I didn't use Claude for that reason, and I'm like, well, now I can just start sticking to one tool where everything it lives there, and I can leverage it for most use cases for me. That's speaking for my perspective.
Okay. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Sure. You can reach me in my business, 305-515-2605, or, Instagram, Facebook, @function. And, I'm happy to help you with any questions that anyone has around AI. And for Miami Community News people, the viewers that are watching, I'm happy to provide a free cyber assessment or an AI readiness assessment at no cost, just so that they can identify any potential risks and cyber postures that they have, and if get ideas on how they can use AI.
Excellent. Thank you, Felipe. Thanks for being here. And thanks for tuning in to our very first edition of An Eye for AI. If you want to know a little bit more about AI, and if you're ready for AI and marketing specifically, you can reach out either to Felipe or myself at carlos@nextmediadigital.com. I'd be glad to speak with you. Until next time, we'll see you.